And here's what I want to tell you about the media and how it works, because I've worked in it for 18 years, as I said, and some things work, some things have impact, some things don't. A person, a story has an impact. Roshani was talked about because her story was already out there. Her social media pages were available. People started talking about it. There were other people who were close to her, connected to her, or who witnessed it. There were videos available. Another example, so this is obviously a suicide that we can talk about. It's something that, as you said, Dr. Asma, it sparks a conversation. You could at least talk about why this happened and push for investigation. आपको याद होगा Zainab का case, which happened this year, nobody can quite forget it. Do we remember the names of any of the other children who were also abused by that man? No, we don't. That's because Zainab had a name, a personality, a family. People will remember, and the media will pick up stories where there is a story. It's as fundamental as that. The media will also pick up stories where there are facts and figures. The problem with suicides and coverage of suicides is often parents will don't want to come on camera. They don't want to talk about it. We've talked about some of the roadblocks to that. बहुत सारी ऐसी चीज़ें इसमें समाजी हैं, उसपे मजहबी भी हैं, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह. So the media needs names and faces and statistics, and we don't have those. I'm going to give an example. 13th October को हम न्यूज़ ने एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री एयर की थी. I'm sure none of you watched that documentary, and you have no idea what that documentary was about. It was about the rising trend of suicides in teenagers. So they did air a documentary, except nobody really saw it. And it had great case studies as well. There was, for instance, I picked out a few points. Amir Naveed, 14 years old, committed suicide in July this year. He constantly talked about coming first. So उसके board के exams होने वाले थे. और जब result आया, I think he got 439 grades, marks. His father said, well, this is pretty good. He said, no, it's not good enough. 3 days later, he shot himself. Kanpatti par usne pistol lagai, and he shot himself. There was another case study in this particular documentary, a girl called Mishal. Again, marks ke issues the. So there was also a series of reporting on suicides in Chitral. Dr. Murad, आपने गीज़र की बात की थी. So Chitral में ये बार-बार बात होती रहती है इसके बारे में. So August, September, there was a lot of reporting. No follow-up, as Akram Saab said, so it sort of disappears. Nobody talks about it. But some of the, so I covered, I did a segment on my show on Chitral and suicides, and I talked to the KP Health Services and Health Department. And वो बार-बार, or also reporters and locals from over there as well. And बार-बार यही बात हो रही थी. It's actually, how there's a generation gap. Some girls are forced to get married, or society is changing, or there's exposure. So there's multiple reasons. The point being that these stories disappear. We're going to face another problem with the media is that Abhi Akram Saab ne bhi iska zikr kiya tha, but we got a notice from Pembra talking about coverage of crime stories. Suicides would be included in crime stories because it's a criminal offense as well. That's how we get to know about it. And I want to quote from it because it's kind of interesting. Maine yahan nikala tha. So excessive coverage of crime reporting, violence and sexual abuse. We know from Zainab's case that it is because of excessive media coverage that something gets done. Shor machta hai, pressure banta hai. Such as you can't include such news or sensationalize it in every bulletin. Again, it is actually, if you create that echo chamber, that's the reason, that's how it happens. Sexual abuse के बारे में बहुत सारे लोग बात कर रहे थे. कसूर में I keep going back to that example because I want to make a specific point with that. कसूर में Zainab ka January this year, it sort of came out, everybody found out about it, but there were other cases that were coming out around September 2016. Some of us reported on it. Again, nobody paid attention. Zainab ka is again interested, not just because you had a personality or a face, but also became politicized. And now I sort of move on to what I think should be my recommendations. So you need active advocacy. And I think Musharraf and Alif Elan and what he did with education is a great example of that. He had these key figures and he had to constantly hit upon it. So active advocacy is really important, and 3 areas that you can push for, which would be data collection. I mean, that's key. Without that, you don't have very much at all. Allocation of funds and resources, and obviously primary care. So so these are some of the things you could probably advocate. You have to create political will. Dr. Murad, आपने mention किया था, you have to create political will. And again, the way to do that is अगर चित्राल में बहुत सारी suicides हो रही हैं, who's the elected official there? Who's the KP health minister? You have to engage them, maybe partially shame them, but I mean you have to bring them into the conversation. जब तक politicize नहीं होगा, शोर नहीं मचेगा, शर्मिंदा नहीं होंगे, nothing will happen. So I think that's really key. And that's the end of that.